nei a kārere tahi e mihi atu nei tēnā koutou katoa. What was once mostly a big city issue, homelessness, is being exposed in smaller cities across the country. Māori are overrepresented among our homeless whānau, and as Leigh Marama McLachlan reports, there's no hiding away from it in Whanganui.
This may look like an ordinary riverside campground, but this is no holiday. For growing numbers of homeless people in Whanganui, these tents and vehicles are home.
Does it look great?
Oh, it's great.
Is it bigger than the other one? Well, it should be nice and warm and dry.
The council allows them here, a freedom camping site along one of the main roads on State Highway 4. It has no showers or cooking facilities.
It's a horrible existence. It's a very open place, it's a public place. You have public complaining all the time about the mess, about the look.
Struggling to buy food, many walk a few blocks to this community fridge at the Koha shed.
We got meals. Lunch and dinner today. This fridge is open 5 days a week from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And people can come in and get enough food most of the time to see them through a day. Gluten-free, it's under that, but they all go today. Yeah. We can get up to about 60 or 70 people a day. Come on in. Would you eat a big beef stew?
Yes.
Cool. I'll get yours out of here. Just grab a bag home and then go shopping. And there's pies in the fridge if you want to take a pie for lunch as well.
Yes, please.
We're constantly getting calls from people who have no shelter and who no longer have accommodation. So it's a growing issue.
Lou is one of those without shelter. She says she's been on the Kāinga Ora wait list for 4 years. She's been living in her car by the hour, and it's tough.
Yeah, they're really calling me camp mother. OK, well, I'll get a pot and then you can take one of those. Put yourself to pies.
Take one down the campground, feed everybody.
Our homeless don't like being in a fishbowl. People actually drive past them all the time just to look. And, of course, when they're living like that, addiction, alcoholism, using and abusing drink and drugs becomes prominent because that's their only escape from the miserable reality they're in.
It's been a miserable winter for those living here. This area is one of the most flood-prone in the city. Those in need are considered lucky to get a tent, often provided by Sharon at the Koha shed.
It's urgent, it's a crisis.
And with pressure from the public, places to stay are limited. This site, only a few k's downriver, was abruptly closed by the council last month. Dozens of people given just a week to pack up and leave.
I've got nowhere to go. I've got nowhere to go. It's easy for them. They've told us, I'll just go down to the other freedom camping site. Well, it's on Monday, it was underwater.
Alan's been living in his car for 3 months since it broke down.
And that's me sitting in my lounge chair. And I see tents getting blown down every other day here since I've been here. Every other day, tents flattened. People walking around in wet clothes. They've been given blankets the week before. They've had to throw them out because they've got no way to dry them out. No clean clothes to put on. It's sad. And there's been no one comes down to help these people, like no support agencies. Well, if they've been here, I've never seen them.
The council says the Taupoki site was closed after reports of property damage, abuse and intimidation at the site.
We're not all bad buggers, you know. We've all got issues, that's why we're here. There's some good ones, there's some bad ones. But we're all judged as, what do you say? That's the one I know, let's put us that way.
Now all that's left are remnants of the jarring reality of life for some of our most vulnerable community members.
They're living in many of the sort of free camping spaces, in the sand dunes, all over, really. And I think people think that if we can't see them, they're not there, but they are there.
Tania says the stigma people who are homeless face is a huge barrier.
We see in the media that, and this is by council and the organisations helping them, they say that they don't want the help, they don't want to engage, and that they're making a choice. I don't think they're making a choice to not have anywhere to stay. We know that they've got complex needs, and that's what everyone's saying as well, complex needs, so why aren't we providing for those complex needs? Our Whanganui area news page is horrendous about what they say about our whānau. They're eyesores, you know, it's not our responsibility.
There's limited housing in Whanganui, and people here are entitled to a low accommodation supplement, despite rising rent prices.
We're here today to look for a solution.
The community calling a hui to find a way forward.
The shelter is what is needed.
Without a fixed address, many struggle to access support.
You cannot wrap around anyone in a tent or anyone in a bush that they need a base for the wraparound services to actually be able to connect with them and help them get to where they need to be.
Local MP National's Carl Bates here to listen, but quick to defend his government's priorities.
I think stating the fact that money's been taken from here for a tax cut for landlords is simply not true. And I wanted to approach this from a non-political process around how we here in Whanganui can achieve some outcome.
I live off the land, no benefits. And I've been doing that since 2017. And I see all of my people suffering. Our people suffering. It's not right. You know, it's just not right. So I hope we give people like myself just a calming space. And everyone else down there that wake up to nothing every day pretty much. There's 2 toilets, no showers. They've got to walk to town to get Wi-Fi or to the garages. We go and see our rangatira, Sharon, or our kai from the koha sheep, you know.
The council says there's no quick fix to homelessness, and it's committed to working with local agencies to get people into homes. In the year to June, 38 people were housed. It has commissioned a business case to look at forming a social housing entity to grow the housing stock. But questions are being raised about the council's approach, having just instructed those by the river to go somewhere else for a few days.
We've just been told by the council that the Billy Webb boat race is coming to town at the end of the month, so they all have to be moved off somewhere. We're not sure where. We've asked for that plan and some sort of assurance of what will happen after that race. I know the council's spent quite a lot of money, and I know they've done a lot of work, because this is not about the people in those positions, but it's more about the system and a system approach. So that system approach really is about ticking their own boxes, and there's been no outcomes for the whānau. If we want to see some real change, we need to come from the ground up. We need to involve our whānau in those plans.
Today, they've set up a barbecue, doing their best to create a sense of community and hope.
There is actually a village down here. There's a village of people who really would like to be somewhere else.
That's good, bro.
What is lemongrass there?
Onion grass.
Onion grass, oh nice.
So we're here all to enjoy each other, beautiful whānau here, enjoy our kai, and just have a relaxing afternoon.
But with no easing up on the cost of living, it's hard to stay positive.
What we have is a growing crisis, so something has to be done now.
I put this challenge out to everybody that the measure of our manaakitanga and our aroha in our communities is how well we treat those who need help the most.
Well, too many Māori are homeless and struggling. So, how to help? Well, it's not easy when the government's cutting funding. No one knows this better than those at the coalface. Kei kōnei a Joanne Reidy, te manutea, GM Māori or Auckland City Mission, me Dave Letele, who's set to close his South Auckland food bank. At its peak, Dave says the food bank was supplying up to 1,000 families a week. Tēnā kōrua. It's lovely to see you both, and thanks for coming in here today. Ka aroha, Dave, I know this is a very painful time. Tell us what is going on. Why does the food bank have to close?
Well, we just can't continue to match the, to make the difference with the funding we're getting and what's required. I really don't understand why they keep talking about taking the money out of the bureaucracy in Wellington and putting it into the community while we're all still waiting, and at a time when the need and demand is just skyrocketing, why is it just left up to groups like us, but then we're not supported properly?
Yeah.
It's a disgrace, frankly.
And Joanne, the Auckland City Mission in desperate need too, those numbers of food parcels declining from 50,000 a year to 20,000, is that right?
So from January we'll have to cap our food parcels at 30,000 for the year, but that includes our partners that are part of distributing food parcels as well. So that is quite a big cut in terms of funding to meet. It doesn't meet demand. We didn't meet demand before, but the cap is going to make it even more difficult.
So what does this mean in reality for the people that you're looking after?
It means that they are either going to be even more struggle to put food on the table, or they're going to have to find other sources of kai in the community that can service them.
Yeah, I was down outside Sky City, got here a bit early having a coffee, and a homeless guy come up. There was a couple of people come up as I'm walking up, and our message cuts through. We had people from cafes talking to us, people, and one of the guys said, where all these spots, City Mission, where they go to get kai for housing, all this sort of stuff. I said, what would you do if that was all stopped? If these groups could no longer continue to help, what would you do? He couldn't comprehend it. It was, what do you mean? This is what we have to understand. If we think things are bad now, the cost of losing groups like the City Mission, like us, like all of these amazing groups around the country, the cost will be unbelievable. But they don't think about that. What's the cost of not having our services,
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. What the government has said is that there's a deficit of nearly $13 billion. And of course, we heard Carl Bates there just now saying we're not making cuts to help people out, help rich people out. But as you say, Dave, when we cut here, what's that greater cost? And what does that mean for the mission, for example?
Well, it puts more pressure on other services as well. So, for example, we provide one warm meal a day, and the numbers there have increased by, I think we've 6,000 more meals this year than we did last year, and that's capping at about 350 a day that may come for a kai, and so it puts pressure on our other services and are needing housing, and there's not enough supply or clothing, and it just expands across all services.
And so are there, I mean, the government is saying $13 billion. I mean, is that something that is reasonable for the government to raise at a time like this? $13 billion is a lot of money.
You're creating more need, though, down the line, if you keep ignoring what's going on here. So you invest all this money in the ambulances and the police cars down at the bottom of the cliff, but you're not investing anything in building a fence and any prevention. You're only creating more and more need down the track. That's what I just don't understand what they don't get. And a lot of the times people think about, they're just these lazy brown people, they don't want to work. But the fact of the matter is there's more and more working class, there's more and more middle class being pushed down, there's no more room for life to happen, there's no more savings. And we helped a lady a couple of weeks ago who we got a job, right, wants to work, keen to work. We're packing a food parcel to help her. We soon realised she's actually living in her car.
Yeah.
So what chance do these people have if we don't give them a hand up to break these cycles and create a better future for all of our grandchildren?
So what is the solution if we can't rely on government? What is left? What do we do?
Well, look, I mean, our model is community and business and government. The problem is all governments, not just this government, I mean, they're bad, but all governments need to work with community and business. And if you can help, you should, right? That's the model. The problem is the government's not doing their part, and I don't just blame this government. The last government weren't much better. So you just got to support it sustainably so that we're not having to worry and go cap in hand you know how hard it is, and you're always trying to raise the money.
Yeah.
You know, to do what we're doing, which is just essential.
Because let's talk about that.
What I want to say is that it just keeps putting more and more pressure on communities in terms of the balance between government funding and community. We wouldn't be able to survive without Aucklanders. Yeah. Like, it's the Aucklanders' generosity of spirit and giving that helps us to be able to do what we do.
How much does Auckland City Mission need to operate and to do what it's doing?
I don't have those numbers for that. I do know that it's been mentioned, 1.5 million for the Kai space, but in terms of our entire space, because there's just no supply. Yeah. There's no housing supply. We need supportive housing. We need low barrier housing, but everything is becoming more and more difficult to access.
And what about for you, Dave? How much do you need to raise each year?
Oh, for our whole operation, like, you know, we're not just, we've got our food share, we've got the social supermarket, we've got the you know, the health programs, the community kitchen, all these things. We only need $2 million a year. Yeah. We have a return. I ran into Maria English the other day, who did our impact lab report. $13 return for every $1 invested.
Whoa!
$13 we have. That was before we do the employment programs we do. It'll be even more now. So
that's quite extraordinary. $13 return on every dollar.
So I've taken all the excuses away for us not to be supported. Yeah. That's all, we're not supported. And it's just, you just got to take, you know, you got to invest in things that work. Things that are outside the box. Yeah, yeah. What we've been doing for years and years and years is not working, it's getting worse.
So what's going to work?
Programs like ours, like what we heard before.
So you need that support. But the other thing you're doing is that you have decided, I'm going to move into that governance space.
Yeah, I'm proud to be on the board of you know, Wahukirangi under Te Nehene Nui, which is my iwi, Maniapoto. And I have to be in this space. I'm just learning from our amazing board. I just sit there and I learn, listen, and just so I can understand. I have to be, like I always talked about, there'll come a time and place, and the time is now, where we have to build our own table. Yeah. You know, and invite who we want there. Yeah. You know, and this is part of that journey for me.
How are you feeling about that?
It's awesome. It's a really amazing experience, sitting there learning and making decisions that affect our people in a positive way.
Yeah. What about for the mission? Do you have much room to move outside of that government funding model?
Well, you know, we're at the coalface of seeing the effects of colonisation, as Dave has been talking about as well. And where I've seen the successes actually is our Te Ao Māori pathway of bringing in our kaupapa Māori, mātauranga Māori into the mahi that we're doing. That is a success, and I know that Dave follows that as well, as does his father, and that is where we're seeing the best changes. And so in terms of models, we will continue as Te Tāpui Ātawhai Auckland City Mission to follow that, regardless of what policies are out there. And we've been up, we're coming up to our 105th anniversary of our inception, so we're not going to stop. Nothing's going to close us.
That's awesome. That is what we need to hear. You mentioned Dave's dad. Tell us what he's doing. He's based in Whanganui. He's running a charity there.
Yep, so my dad, I'm very proud of my father for this work that they do with Grace Foundation. Him and my sister founded it years ago. So they're in Whanganui as well as Auckland. They're one of the biggest bauhouses in the country with community housing, but the difference is they are faith-based rehab and run Te Whare Tipa Whā based on you know, our culture. It doesn't matter whether you're Māori or not. If it's good for Māori, it's good for everybody. Yeah. You know, there's something very special in our culture that helps people heal. So yeah, they run rehabs because the thing about it is women's refuges, family homes. The thing about prison, what we all have to understand is, okay, especially those in power, prison is not rehab. Yeah. Okay, you are not going to imprison your way out of reducing gang numbers, because prison's the biggest breeding ground for gangs. You can't imprison your way out of poverty. You know, you go into prison. We're about to start a program in Spring Hill Prison. When you go in and you see where these youth are kept, all under 20, the conditions and the environment, you quickly understand why there is no rehab there, why they come out more resentful and more hateful of the system, and why it keeps going round and round and round.
Yeah. Well, we have to wrap in just a moment, so I just want to leave this time for you to say what you need. And let's start with you, Joanne. What's the message you want our whānau watching today to hear, and hopefully those in power to hear?
We are working with some incredibly complex whānau who, for most not of their volition, have ended up in spaces there, they need our support. We need more housing stock, we need low barrier access to housing, and we need supportive housing so that our whānau can be supported to thrive in the spaces that we can offer them.
So tautoko mai. Dave?
Yeah, same with us, you know. For me, it's not even about BBM. Come down to the community at the grassroots level. Any social issue, you'll find a group there having an impact with next to no money. Even up in K Road, you've got Kickback there helping homeless with the front door program there. More and more young people are sleeping rough, all with serious mental health issues, you know, lots of trauma, but no help.
Yeah.
You know, come down, get out of Wellington, come down and see at the grassroots what's having an impact. They continue to support the same larger groups who have become a bureaucracy themselves. They're no longer in the community. The City Mission, they still have their feet in there. They understand. They're not up here. We're down here. We see the issues, and the fix is so easy if you understand it.
Yeah. Kei te mihi nui kia kōrua. Thank you so much for the mahi that you both do for our people. As you say, when we look after Māori, we're actually looking after everyone. So, you know, we'll keep an eye on things because it'll get hard going into Christmas too. So kia kaha, ngā mihi nui kia. Ko tēnei tā tātou hōtaka whakamutunga mo tēnei tau. Here's a few moments from 2024. Throughout the year, Marae has checked in with communities rebuilding after the chaos of climate-driven weather events. In June, 400 properties were flooded in Wairoa. That came in the wake of last year's devastation from Cyclone Gabrielle. But there were bright spots too. Edina Smith was in Wairoa when the community took a breather.
But not even flooding could shift the focus away from rugby. In fact, it has given them more impetus to go all the way.
We need some good news in this town, some positive role models for the younger generations to look up to. And I said right at the start to the boys that's the real win for me, developing better humans, giving them purpose, because they're like we've got gang members in our team, we've got you know, some troubled youth that have, even in the senior ones team, that have been given a purpose now, and you can kind of take that opportunity and mould them into better characters and teach them skills that you can pick up on a rugby field or within a team environment that can help you out in all areas of life. So that's been the real win for me.
Ngā mihi e te whānau. Now, endometriosis is a debilitating disease that can cause a lifetime of painful wahine. On average, it takes nearly 10 years to get a diagnosis. For te ika Haungata Robertson, it took 13 years. Just before surgery, she shared her story with Leigh Marama McLachlan.
What was your experience dealing with the health system?
Heinous. I would almost class it as a form of abuse. Yeah, just heaps of denial from the people that work in the medical system. And when you are alone batting for yourself, it's so scary and painful, having to stand up to people that have way more education and way more privilege than you do.
Ka aroha. Te ika Haungata has healed well after her hysterectomy, but it's been a slow journey coming back to health. Her beloved kuri Pony passed away 1 month after surgery, but Titi, a new kuri friend, has been an early morning walking partner. Te ika Haungata says we must look after and listen to our whānau in pain, because when we deny people's realities, we alienate them, and no one needs to be alone. Marae also kept an eye on the impact of changes in government policy. When Whaikaha announced changes to purchasing rules for disabled people's equipment and support services, it caused widespread anguish within the community.
Well, the ministry was never funded fully to begin with, and we never intended a ministry like how they've created it. It's as though, yes, we'll give you a ministry, but we're going to do it our way. And again, it's a very ableist approach, because what we wanted was something we could claim that would give quality policy advice to every government department, which is badly needed. But we also needed something that could locally lift up the disability lives with information, advocacy, support.
Aye. Well, tens of thousands came from around the country and the world to pay tribute to Kingi Tuheitia Pototau, Te Whero the 7th, who died in August. It came months after he issued a rare royal proclamation for Māori to urgently rally in unity against Crown policies. After laying the Kingi to rest on his sacred mountain Taupiri and Nukuini, ngā waihono I te pō was named, Scotty Morrison spoke to Tāpou Temara from Te Kaumārua about the factors they weighed up when selecting a new monarch.
You played a critical role in determining who the successor for Kingi Tuheitia was going to be. There was applause right across the Marae and down by the river when ngā waihono I te pō, Kuini ngā waihono I te pō, first came on to the Marae. But take me through that selection process, the discussions that you had, maybe the debates that took place amongst the Te Kaumārua, the 12 of you, and also the invited chiefs from across the country. What was that like, and what were some of those discussions?
We decided in planning the meeting to take place that there were certain things that we needed to put to the representatives of the Māori people. It was important that we did include the youth, and they were there. And they told us what was important. They even said that the criteria we put up, even God would not be able to achieve it.
What were some of the criteria? Are you able to tell us what some of the?
Well, you had to be perfect. You had to be wise, wiser than Solomon. So, these are all the things that you expected a person under 20 to achieve.
Well, that generational leadership change is showing up across the country. Jodie Ihaka headed to the Legislative Council chamber at Parliament to speak with Wellington Central MP Tamitha Paul.
In June, the Māori population hit just under 1 million. 1 in 5 New Zealanders are Māori, 1 in 3 are under 25 years old. So what do you think this means for future generations?
We are a young generation, we are a young people, and I think we're almost 20% of the population, which is pretty amazing. For us, it's about making sure that all of our resources in society are shared fairly, and that our communities have what they need in terms of housing, health, education, all of those areas. It means that our voice is more powerful because there are more Māori within the population. But, when it comes to things like protecting and honouring te tiriti, we need everybody to do that. And so a big challenge for us is showing the relevance in everyday life of te tiriti for people, and us all coming together to be united in protecting and upholding our country's founding document. I think that's probably the biggest issue of our generation.
Ai, ngā mihi, ko marae tērā mō tēnei wiki, mō tēnei tau, ngā mihi e te whānau mō koutou tautoko, kia mātou ko te whānau a marae, kia haumaru te raumati, ka kite a koutou a tērā tau, kei te mihi nui ki a koutou. Mauri ora. Ko te reo, te take.